Good afternoon. My name is Lane Allen, and today we'll be doing the Osmosis and the Plasma Membrane Virtual Lab. So what we will be doing today is taking eggs, which we have soaked in vinegar for a week. Here we go. This is what they look like. We're going to give them a quick rinse off to get the foam and vinegar off them. And this is dissolved egg to expose the cell membrane. And we're going to weigh their initial mass in order to determine how much weight they will gain or lose over the course of the next week as they're sitting in different solutions. So the first step of this is to turn on our scale and make sure it is zeroed. When I turn it on with the cup on the scale, it automatically zeroes it. So when I take the cup off, the scale measures the negative mass of the cup. And I'm going to put the egg in the cup, that way we don't get our scale dirty. Place it back on, and the weight is 81.37 grams. So I'm going to go ahead and record that for the initial mass of our corn syrup egg. So 81.36. Because I've recorded this for the corn syrup solution, we're going to be putting it into our cup labeled syrup. So we gently roll that back out. And in order to make sure that our egg gets completely coated, we're going to add, a little bit tough to open. We're going to add a little bit of corn syrup to the bottom of the cup first. That way we don't trap an air bubble beneath our egg. This isn't an exact measurement. We just need to make sure that the egg is completely covered in the solution. So then I'm going to gently roll this egg into our cup. Continue.
It's a big egg.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one. Filling it until the surface is covered. All right, that's a close one.
Now, why was it important to measure the initial mass before you put it in the solution?
Because we are going to be leaving these eggs in the solution for the next week, and then depending on the concentration of the solutes in these solutions, water is either going to go into the egg or come out of the egg. And so in another week, we're going to come back, we're going to take this egg out of the corn syrup, gently rinse it off again, and measure its weight. And the difference in weight will reflect the amount of water that has left or entered the egg.
So we want to make sure that we know the mass of the egg itself, because you measured it without the solution. Then you'll take it out of the solution next week, so we'll be able to find what the final mass is, right?
Absolutely.
Very good. So then what are these other ones for over here? We have Coke, salt water, and then DI water. What do we plan to do with those?
We are going to be repeating those steps with all of these different solutions. We have Coca-Cola, which is water with a mixture of salt and sugar. And we also have a solution of salt water, where we've added as much salt as we can dissolve in the water to see if that will be enough solutes to cause water to leave the egg. We also have corn syrup, which is basically straight sugar. And lastly, we have pure DI water.
So when we look at the solutions of like the DI water compared to the syrup, right, the syrup is super sugary, super thick. And so one of the things that you'll want to do is hypothesize what you think the tonicity of these solutions are. So do you think they're going to be hypotonic, hypertonic, or isotonic? And we'll be able to tell next week depending on what happened to the egg, right? Whether the water left the egg, or whether water went into the egg, or if it didn't change at all, right? Very good. Can you show us the chart that you were recording this in?
Absolutely. Here we go. So over here in this column, we record the initial mass, so the weight of the eggs that we are recording today. And then after we've recorded their initial mass, we place them in the corresponding solution. And then when we come back and rinse off those eggs, we would put in the final mass in this column.
Why do we see like 4 over here on the left? What would we do had they been in the lab?
So normally we would have multiple groups conducting this experiment. That way we can replicate our results. Because occasionally something might happen, we get a really big egg, or one accidentally busts, and that might affect our results. And so what we want to do is run this experiment multiple times and then calculate the average to make sure fluke events aren't influencing our results.
Very good. So we're basically going to take the same thing we did here and do it 4 times. That way we would have 4 corn syrup eggs. And then we would do the same thing with the DI water, get our egg in there, and then we would have 4 of those cups with DI water. And then what we're going to do is have you take the average initial mass, and then we'll come back in a week, look at how the mass changed, record that final mass, and then average that final mass. So it's important that we collectively look at our data as a whole. Okay? All right, thank you, Lane.
No problem.